I'm joined now by Peter Vincent. He's the former head of U.S. Extraditions in Colombia, lived and spent a lot of time there. We heard of all the emotions and we saw the tears, but what is your reaction to this agreement? How significant is this?
It is an incredibly significant step. It is a bilateral ceasefire, something that has never been accomplished. We are not there yet. The Colombian people are not there yet, but it is a significant step, and I do believe the momentum is such that it is irreversible. There are 3 additional steps that we must go through, that the Colombian government and the FARC must agree upon. The first being that they need to sign an actual peace accord. They need to work out some of the very substantive issues with that peace accord. The hope by the government of Colombia is that that accord can be signed by July 20th, which just happens to be Colombia's National Independence Day. After that, then, the Colombian Constitutional Court, not to be confused with the Colombian Supreme Court, must approve of a referendum that President Santos has indicated he would like to have to vote yes or no for the full peace accords. After the court rules positively, hopefully, then they are looking to have the full peace accord signed and executed sometime in October.
This has gone on for years now. They passed an initial March deadline. You mentioned Independence Day. Is there anything that could stop or slow down the process? You mentioned momentum, but is there something that could stand in the way?
I do believe that it's irreversible. However, a gentleman who I respect and admire and who I spent a lot of quality time with, who is incredibly charismatic and incredibly dedicated to his country, ex-President Uribe, who very much deserves a great deal of credit for his campaign of kill or capture that really forced the FARC to the negotiating table. He is still an immensely polarizing, but also an immensely popular figure in Colombia. He is dead set against this. He believes it is a sign of capitulation, of cowardice. He worries that those who committed gross acts of violence, human rights violations, will not be held accountable. So there is that, and because he is such a popular figure still in Colombia, he holds great sway over the public opinion.
So what would happen then, once this, I mean, obviously there will still be a lot of people in Colombia who will not support this.
Right. The referendum, if it takes in October, will probably pass narrowly. I would bet that it would be a 50 to 50 vote, and that the result would actually be slightly favorable for, the 50 years of death and destruction and assassinations and war and slaughter is enough. And the Colombian people have certainly earned the right to live in peace, a sustainable, durable peace. I ultimately think that because the Colombian people have withstood this multi-generational war, that they will, as survivors, ultimately pass the referendum slightly.
Everyone has said that everyone in Colombia knows someone or has been touched by what has taken place there. Talk to us a little bit about Cuba's role in all of this, brokering, negotiating, hosting what has taken place. What has this done for regional diplomacy?
Cuba and its president, Raul Castro, definitely deserve some credit. They have hosted these talks since November of 2012. They have played an instrumental part. They have, the Cuban authorities, that is, great street credibility with the FARC. Members of the FARC, both the upper echelons as well as the rank and file, look up to members of the Cuban government. Actually, the Pope, Francis, deserves some credit as well for intervening in this matter and calling a grave humanitarian crisis. But really, truly, the individuals that deserve the most credit for this are, as I said, former President Uribe for this campaign of forcing the FARC to the negotiating table, and current President Juan Manuel Santos for having the moral courage to take the battle just not within the jungles and the mountains and the courts of law in Colombia, United States, but taking it to the negotiating table in Havana. And he has done an incredible service to his country at great political cost, because not all Colombians that we've been discussing are completely in favor of this. But it really is important that we recognize the incredibly important role of both former President Uribe and current President Santos. And Rodrigo Londoño, the current leader of the FARC, known more infamously as Timochenko, gets credit as well for maintaining this dialogue since November of 2012 to reach this very historic bilateral ceasefire.
All right, Peter Vincent, as always, we appreciate your perspective. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
If you like what you just saw, follow us on social media and visit our website, cctv-america.com.